Part 1. Before diving into what a defined outcome investment is, it's helpful to define our terms. Here is an explanation of the key concepts that defined outcome investments rely on. Reference asset. Every defined outcome investment has a reference asset to which the defined outcome investment performance is linked. For Innovator defined outcome ETFs, the reference asset is a market index, such as the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq 100. Reference price. The reference price is the price of the reference asset. For Innovator ETFs, the reference price is the level of the reference market index. Outcome period. The outcome period is the time period over which the defined outcome is realized. The option contracts used to create the defined outcome expire at the end of the outcome period. For Innovator ETFs, the full outcome period is 1 year. Buffer. The buffer is the amount of reference security decline over the full outcome period in which the defined outcome investment does not participate. Innovator ETFs offer 3 different buffer levels: 9%, 15%, and 30%. Upside cap. The upside cap is the maximum amount of reference asset gain over the full outcome period in which the defined outcome investment participates. The upside cap resets at the beginning of each new outcome period. To understand a defined outcome investment, it's helpful to compare and contrast it with an investment that has no defined outcome. The value of an investment without a defined outcome moves 1-to-1 with the reference asset in both directions, indefinitely, with no constraints. For a defined outcome investment, there are 3 features that distinguish it from an investment with no defined outcome. These features are the outcome period, the buffer, and the upside cap. At the end of its full outcome period, the value of an investment with a defined outcome will have either increased 1-for-1 with the reference asset to a specified cap, or will be exempt from loss experienced by the reference asset to a specified buffer level. To illustrate, let's briefly look at 4 different scenarios. Suppose a defined outcome investment has an outcome period of 1 year, a cap of 10%, a buffer of 15%, with the S&P 500 as its reference asset. In scenario 1, suppose the S&P 500 is down 18% at the end of the outcome period. In this instance, the 15% buffer would eliminate the defined outcome investment's participation in the first 15% of the S&P 500's decline, leaving it with a loss of 3%. In scenario 2, suppose the S&P 500 is down 12% at the end of the outcome period. In this instance, the 15% buffer would eliminate the defined outcome investment's participation in all 12% of the S&P 500's decline, leaving it with a return of 0%. In scenario 3, suppose the S&P 500 is up 8% at the end of the outcome period. In this instance, the defined outcome investment would participate in all 8% of the S&P 500's increase, leaving it with a return of 8%. In scenario 4, suppose the S&P 500 is up 13% at the end of the outcome period. In this instance, the defined outcome investment would participate in the first 10% of the S&P 500's increase up to its 10% cap, leaving it with a return of 10%. Keep in mind that the illustrations we just covered do not account for fund fees and expenses, and that realized fund returns will be net of fund fees. And there is no guarantee that a defined outcome fund will achieve its investment objective. The defined outcome series funds have characteristics unlike many other traditional investment products and may not be suitable for all investors. For more information regarding whether an investment in the fund is right for you, please see Investor Suitability in the prospectus. There is no guarantee the fund will achieve its investment objective. The fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses should be considered carefully before investing. The prospectus contains this and other important information, and it may be obtained at innovatoretfs.com. Read it carefully before investing.